What is up? What is up? What is up, my people, my family, my friends, my saints, my ain'ts? The Pop Up Podcast is back. What's up, Vernon Wilson? Coach Vernon, the championship coach Vernon in the house. Good to see people. I also got my co-host with me, so let me bring my boy in. What's up, Steve?
What's up, bro? How you
Good.
feeling?
Feeling good, feeling good. Let's give a round of applause for Stephen Mitchell in the
Please, you're
house.
far too kind. Sit down, everybody.
Far too kind. Yo, so what's new? What's new in your world, man? It's been a while since we've been on here.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time, but we are back, and my world has been crazy. Like I'm sure most people's worlds have been flipped, turned upside down. In a lot of ways. But right now, I've just really been focused on staying busy, on trying to achieve in several areas, trying to achieve as a father, be a good father for my children, trying to achieve in my relationship, be a good husband to my wife, trying to achieve in my entrepreneurial endeavors. And, another way of thinking about that is I'm just trying to win, trying to be like DJ Khaled. All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Yeah, trying to win. We got another winner that popped in on us, Jay Johnson, the Jay down there in Texas, but a Muncie native. Good to see you on
Jay.
here. So that's good. Just dig into that a little bit. You said you're trying to win. Like what does that mean to you? What does winning in this season look like to you? Because I think it means different things to different people. So in your eyes,
And then it's not complicated on another because winning with my children is like, I don't know what that means. I'm just trying to make sure that that they have my attention and I care about them. And because they say those first 1 to 5 years is really super important.
yeah,
Um, so that's complex. What does winning look like with your children? Whereas entrepreneurial, it's like, hey, I want to take my businesses to $5 to $10 million annually per year. That I can get real specific on. Uh, but even then, it's like there's a trade off because am I winning when I'm doing that, or is that going to cause me to spend more time away from my children? So it's a complex answer, and it's not actually direct. And so, because I don't have the answer, I think you might. What does winning? What does it mean in general? I don't know.
I don't know. That's it's crazy. I think it means different things to different people. It means different things at different times. I won't go into the names, but there's two pretty prominent basketball players, and one of them is still playing and just about at retirement age. One is already retired and has moved up into the front office. And they mentioned about the one that's still playing. They said that this guy was great, super great, but he cared about his personal numbers too much. So the team could win, but if he only had 22, he'd be upset. Or the team could lose, but if he had 44, he would be happy. He was so worried about getting his, is what the guy's critique of him was. And the reason why I bring that up is that winning looks different to different people, and depending on who you have on your team, it could affect winning because some people could be very personal about their winning in a way that doesn't affect, they don't feel like it affects other people. But what you're saying is, I don't want to win at the expense of my team, which is my family or my children. So
Yeah.
I'd like to win, but if it's not a whole win, it's not the same. And then there are other greats that they just wanted to win. So if you just need me to rebound, that's what I do. At the end of the day, I want to win. So it means different things to different people, and I guess how you look at it depends on what you push after. I would say that when it comes to winning, it's okay to have some sense of selfishness, because I think one of the things a lot of us are learning, especially after the pandemic, is we've done so much for other people that many times we look up and there's nobody there for us when it's our turn, when we need. So you can't win you can't have a team win at the expense of yourself all the time, where you're always taking the back seat, you're always the giver, and you never get anything. So your own personal mental health can be a part of your win. Understanding, focusing on who's loyal to you. Like, I'm loyal to everybody, but not everybody's loyal to me. So in this next season, what a win looks like is I'm focused on the people who've been focused on me. So
Need to cut 'em.
it could be a lot of things. Brother Arthur Marvin Strong is in the building. Holler out
What's
to
up,
him.
Marwin? Shout out.
Says he got the book. He's a author as well. He's got a book out called Back from the Shadows of Death, as well as he's got a collaboration thing coming out in September. And I believe he's going to have a Back from the Shadows of Death 2 coming out in December. So he's pushing. So for him, a win would be the things that he's doing to show winning. So that's powerful.
Yeah, it's dope.
So,
Clap it up for the support.
yeah. Let's clap it up for some of that support. As a matter of fact, let's segue into the book for a second. I want to pull it up. It's called Victorious Worship, and if you can see right there, it says winning in life through the power of worthy, wired, and wise worship. And I'll touch on that in a second, but I did want to look at something real quick. So let's.
Available on Amazon and where all books are sold.
Yeah, so the paperback is $11. The Kindle version is super cheap, 99 cents.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get. I want to show you something. So right down here it says, if I can get it to stay right, we are number 24 in the clergy. So it's in the top 100 books. We hit 24 in clergy. We hit the top 100 in Christian counseling. Church, state, and religious studies, we're 193, but that's because it really doesn't deal with those things. So we've cracked the top 100 in the first week, which is good.
Boom.
Yeah.
Make some noise.
So let's go over to the Kindle version and see how we're running on that.
That's dope. That's dope.
Let's see down here. Oh, so yeah, 28 in Christian leadership and 28 in Christian counseling, and number 40 in men's Christian living. So we are in the top 100 in all of those in the first week. That's good. We only have one rating, so if you get it, you read it, skim it, go ahead and leave a review and put it out there. So
share it with your friends. Send the link out.
So once again, it's called Victorious Worship. I guess I should bring that back up just so people can see it and know exactly what it looks like. But that's what it looks like. I didn't have my face on it. It just says Victorious Worship. But winning in life through the power of worthy, wired, and wise worship. I won't go into full detail. I will just say that the premise of the book is how to win in life through worship and not so much your circumstances. And what I mean by that, what I've figured out, because in the middle of writing the book, you and I suffered something that it's kind of even hard to talk about still, is we lost our father. And I was in the middle of writing the book. And the crazy thing about that is him and I were supposed to be writing a book together. And once we had talked about it, and that's the next book that I thought I was going to be writing. But then the Lord told me to switch and do this one first. And I didn't understand why. Well, I know why now. If I would have been writing that book with him and he passed in the middle of it, that would have been really devastating. So never got around to that. But what has helped me is learning that you can worship and win in worship even when life is crazy and life is funky, because how I viewed it and based it is that there's never a time in life where God is not worthy. There's several times in your life where your life ain't worth anything, or it's not going in the right direction, or you're struggling, but that doesn't change God's worth and God's value. So it's a book about taking your eyes off of your current circumstance, putting it on God, and worshiping God, not for what you're going through, because you may not be going through something good at the moment, but He is always good. He is always awesome. He is always worthy. And so beginning to look at Him and praising Him for Him, worshiping Him for Him. And what it does, it shifts your focus from whatever you're dealing with, and it puts your focus on God. And
Now,
what that
let
has a
me interrupt
tendency
you.
of do is bring you to a place of victory, because you find out that at the end of the day, this life is not the only life we have going for us. We have a life to come. And if we have a relationship with God, then there's no way we're going to lose. We're going to win in the end. So the book helps us walk through several ways to focus on God to get yourself to victory.
So let me interrupt you and say, so how do you know if you're losing in life? Because you mentioned a few things. So when I think of people winning in life, you think of big names like who's been in the news this week. Let's say a Kim Kardashian. She's got a new product out that I thought was pretty cool. It's headphones that match your skin or something like that. But you also look at her and I think she just went through another breakup. I mean, she's in popular culture, so everything she does is news, so to speak. But how do you know if, or how do we know she seems to be winning? And I don't know if you can answer that. Is she winning? And is the book only for, if she's already winning, is the book not for her? Do you need to be losing to be thinking about how do I win in life? You know, what's your thought on that?
Well, like I said, winning looks different for different people. So uh, only she can answer that question if she's winning. You know, because we all, especially when it comes to social media, we all put our best face forward. But when we go home at night and look ourselves in the mirror, only we know if we're winning or not.
Boom.
So I'll flip it and I'll talk about the losing part. I like several people have said it, but Jay-Z said it too. Many losses are really just lessons. And if you could take the losses and turn them into lessons, then you can actually get closer to blessings, or you can get closer to a win, because every loss becomes a lesson if you learn something. So me and you have talked about it, and we've read it in books. You fail, but you fail forward. You're not. It's not like you're failing and losing out. So losing is a part of life, and losing is a part of winning. You don't understand the joy of victory absence the suffering of defeat, or absence the loss of, or the fear of. Like, the greatest games are not the blowouts. The greatest games is when you're rooting for a team and you don't know who's going to win. It's back and forth, and you pull out in the end. Those are the greatest games. And even when you lose, when a team loses that you love and they get real close, they say you have like a moral victory. Like, man, we just, if we just didn't miss that free throw, we would got it. We'll get them next time. Next year we're gonna get it. So losing is very relative, just like winning is relative. And the book, you, it's for anybody, but not everybody believes God the way I believe God, and so it has a lot of scripture in it. But there's just a lot of practical lessons. So anybody, if they could just grab the lessons, I think that they would be able to get something from the book. But since it centers around worship, it centers around worship of God and not just worship of just anything, because we're created to worship. So we can worship anything. You can worship sports teams. You can worship your money. You can worship your new BBL that you got. You may think you're winning because you got a BBL. Hey, and
Right.
you may be winning. If you went from flat to curvy, maybe you are winning. But the book takes you from
But is
focusing
your bank
on,
account winning?
yeah, really. It takes us from focusing on the natural things and focusing more on the spiritual thing. But
So why is
using
that?
that,
Why is that important? Why is that a part of really winning in life? To be able to shift focuses like that. What's your perspective there? Even for the believer that may already have a tendency to read scripture and want to know about God, what is it about believers where we need to be reminded that, you know, winning in life sometimes requires us to shift focus.
I think it's important because the way our human appetites are. Once you grab something, achieve something, it seems to lose its luster, which is not a bad thing because it lets us know that there's something greater. You take someone who has a craving for fries, man. I just got to have me some fries, and you go get some fries, but they put too many in your bag, and you're eating and eating, and at some point you get full. It's like even the fries look nasty to you. Like I don't want no more. Or if I gotta stop and reheat them, they're not the same anymore. So material things have a limit. That includes sex, money, alcohol, all those things. They're limited in how far they can take you. And if you don't know how to shift focus, you'll keep chasing the high of one thing, and it'll keep letting you down. And you'll be like the dog chasing the carrot, or dog chasing its own tail. You're always trying to catch something that you're never going to catch. And so there's a lot of people who they finally get what they want, they win it, but then they feel like a loser because it didn't bring to them what they thought. I can't remember what athlete it was. It wasn't Tom Brady said it, but it was somebody else. They won a championship. And after that initial thing, man, we got it. They asked themselves, is this all there is? Because they had trained themselves, I gotta win. I gotta win the Super Bowl. I gotta. And once they got it, it wasn't everything it was cracked up to be. And I think we see that in everything. Like just normal life, you want to go on vacation. You've been going for a vacation. Then you get to the vacation and the food is not as good as they made it seem on Instagram. The weather is not as good.
Getting bit up, hitting yourself.
Yeah,
Mosquitoes.
Things are because life is just life. You're like, okay, I ordered the top shelf liquor, but then I got sick and I had a hangover for 2 days, so the vacation wasn't. Now on Instagram, I'm gonna act like I had a lot of fun, but when we are by ourselves, we realize that so many things are limited. So it takes us having a higher perspective, a more universal perspective. I call it God. Some people call it the universe. You need a bigger perspective of a higher power to really win, because life has a way of just kind of letting you down.
Yeah, and it's funny because I feel like the world, as we talk about it, when you're a believer or you grew up in church, you think of people that aren't necessarily believers in God and Jesus Christ and the Bible, that whole thing. But I noticed even with a lyric from a famous poet, is what I'd call him, but a famous rapper, J. Cole, he says in one of his songs that, the good news is you came a long way, but the bad news is you went the wrong way.
That's
And it's
dope.
like, yeah, super dope. It's like even the world knows that there is there's a thing of like, you know, going after something but it not being fulfilling. So does the book help people that know they know deep within that something's missing? Like you mentioned that we're created to worship. Maybe touch on that a little bit more, and how does the book help walk people through uh, that piece of getting to that piece that we know is missing? It's kind of nebulous when you're not a believer, but even if you are a believer and you're not doing the right things, maybe it still kind of seems out of reach. How does the book deal with that?
Well, the book comes on the heels of just us coming into a new decade that has been hellish, with
Yeah.
the pandemic and all kinds of things. And the thing that a global pandemic does, it makes us realize that life is precious. It also makes us realize life is futile. It makes us realize that things can change in a moment, in an instance. Uh, Makes us understand some of those things. And so it takes us, it kind of takes us realizing that. And so what the book does, it builds on the fact that we're all are going through some type of challenges. We've all been through some type of challenges. And these are practical ways to bring us up out of some of these challenges. And at the end of each chapter, there's notes that you can take. There's questions that are asked to help you evaluate. And even though I use a lot of scripture, it pulls the truth out of the scripture. So even if you don't know the Bible, the scripture is there, but then it pulls the truth out of that so that you can take the truth from it and just keep shifting and adjusting yourself. If it's a way to teach you how to grow so that no matter what you're hit with, the growth spectrum that you have keeps you in a form of winning.
Yeah, that's powerful because I think we all need that. We all are looking for how to win in life, but not just win and have to sacrifice everything and whatever everything is for you. And to your point, many times when you're winning in life, or it looks like you're winning on the from the highlight reel of our social media pages, how do we how do we really win also in the background? One of my mentors talks about, how do you, not only, make profit in life, you go around making money, but how do you also make impact or have purpose? Um, because those things are actually going to be stronger, more lasting. You're going to actually get more fulfillment from it. So it sounds like the book is really going to help folks like myself and others really understand how to walk through seasons that are up and down, that are, like you said, on the heels of negativity, on the heels of a global pandemic, on the heels of tragedy, sadness, grief. How do I still win and win in a you know in a way
In
where
a
it's tangible?
tangible way, yeah. Win in the things that are important in life. I talk about relationships. Uh, I spent some time talking about married men and the struggle that married men sometimes have and how they can be tempted to step out on their marriage. You wouldn't think that's in a book about worship, but I actually bring that in because
Wow.
there's a shortage of men, and so seemingly because well, not seemingly, it's statistically true because of the prison system and many things, gun violence is a lot of times there's a shortage of men. So that means there's an abundance of women. So if winning looks like to you having a family, then that means the normal temptation to be a player or the normal temptation to not be monogamous, because it doesn't even seem like we are built for monogamy,
True.
but that's something that you have to fight for. We're
I was
not
telling
we're we're not
I
really
was
built to we're not built to have six-pack abs based
Yeah,
on
what you got?
what we eat. It's something you have to actually fight for and work for. So I spend some time talking about those things in the book, and I've been happily married for 22 years. But even when I read some of the stuff back, I was convicted myself. Like, man, I gotta step up because there's just temptations out there. But if I want to win, there's just certain things I can't do. And so the book talks about all kinds of things like that. It talks about wealth and money.
But your decision making is then connected to you winning in life, which is how you're then tying in worship. Because worship, this need for us to worship, uh, even if we don't realize it, even if we're, maybe folks that aren't believers in God or God of the Bible and all of this. I thought you made a great point is that we still have a need to worship things. We worship whether it's a sports team or a clothing or a new shoe that's coming out. We express a lot of worth into it. So it's like, how do we understand how to use our worship in a way that can actually help us win as
Yeah.
well? Is what
And
it sounds like.
it's actually, I do it in a roundabout way. I I don't really start talking about winning till close toward the end of the book. I throw it throughout, but the last chapter actually the last couple deal with winning. So the whole premise that I was thinking is when you shift your focus and shift your perspective, you're already winning. It just takes a while for the winning to catch up to you. Just the the reshift of the focus. And so the goal is in so many areas of our life, if we focus back on God, putting him at the center, it has a trickle effect of affecting everything in our life. And then another thing that happens is many times what you want or you think you want, once your focus has shifted, you don't really care about it. That is no longer a win to you. Like I said with the other guy who the basketball player who cared only about his numbers. I bet as he grew, those things didn't matter as much anymore. And so that's what I do. And then we bring it back to winning, because there's no reason for us to wait till heaven to get some wins. Like, I don't need healing in heaven. I don't need a house in heaven. I don't need a steak dinner in heaven. So it's okay to have some of those things now, but just reshift your focus. And so that's kind of how I do it. And I just throw a lot of things in there, and then we hit that winning piece at the end.
Well, that's exciting. I think it's exciting because not only if we can learn as people how to be who we're supposed to be, like we could probably get like more fulfillment, and those wins in life. So it's like, not even though we may not feel like we're naturally set up to be in a relationship or to be around kids who can be, a lot, but it's like stretching yourself or putting the work in to do those things can actually create the real wins in the roles that you play, by those mundane activities. Not going out seems boring, but it may be stacking up enough time of not going out and looking at a ton of women and putting yourself in position where you're doing that could help you get the bigger win, which is the family or the house, where you may have got the house already, but because you haven't been willing to do those mundane things, it's like you got to lose the house, or now you got to split the house, or now you got to pay for a house you're not even allowed to live in because the relationship is fractured. So it's I think it's timely, man. I think it's dope, and it sounds like, if we learn some of these skills that you're going to be breaking down for folks in the book, and walk us through some of the lessons that we can see how we're winning right now. And like you said, to me earlier, is like, just learn how to maintain some stuff,
Yeah.
because like you being married for 20 plus years, like that's a win, but and maintaining that is a win, and not everyone can say that. It's like, I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you don't have to rush through. It's a book that you take your time with. It's only 4 chapters, I believe, but they're lengthy enough where you don't have to read a whole chapter, but it just helps you to take some time. But ultimately, you want to win, and one of the major reasons to win is not just for your win. It's so that you can pass that information on to that next generation, the next person, whether it's your children, your grandchildren, somebody you mentor. Because, like I said, losses are lessons, but some losses can be skipped with knowledge. And so when you gain the knowledge and you go through the trial, then you can help that next person get to a win a little quicker. And ultimately, that if you understand teamwork, that helps you win. So I may not always win through me. I may win through my children. I may win. Like, I look at my children, I see the grades that they get, and I never scratched those grades. I mean, maybe in kindergarten I was hitting those grades, but they're like, they're like still getting, and it's just but I've taken what I learned, I passed it into them, I've held them accountable, and to see them rising to these occasions, it's a win for me. So I didn't win in my current season, but I'm winning in that second season. I'm winning in that second leg of the race.
And how does that make you feel? I mean, is it like, do you feel like it is a better feeling than what it would have been if you would have achieved it on your own?
Makes me feel like I was dumb. It's like, man, I'm like, where did these genius kids come from? No,
That's funny.
but in all honesty, there some of the other wins in life have made differences. So I went to an all white school, and when I look back on it, I was experiencing a lot of racism that I didn't know I was experiencing. So like slipping into being the class clown. I'm a funny, silly person as just in general, but once I start slipping in grades, it was easy to give up and just be the class clown. But I noticed that some of the people, they didn't expect much out of me anyway. They didn't push me because I was the black kid in the white school. And so it makes me feel good to answer your question because I'm able to see what my kids are doing. They're in a school that it's not as private as my school was, but there's still is not as many blacks there. And I'm able to tell them, okay, look, you got to watch this. You got to navigate this. Some of the teachers that smile in your face, they may have never dealt with somebody that looks like you, so you have to be excellent. You got to do, and our parents told us the same thing, and they held us to a high standard. And I'm being somewhat facetious. I wasn't like horrible in grades, but to see getting another chance through my children and seeing them prosper and succeed is a blessing. And as a pastor, I get it on a whole nother level when I see just general people growing and hitting marks and doing things. That really makes me feel like a win. So it's kind of like a relay race where if you run the leg just good enough, a lot of times the last person can catch up and make the difference, but everybody gets the win. You just got to do your part. And so I did my part, but maybe I wasn't the fastest, but now my children are doing their part. The members of my church are doing their part. And hopefully, once the race is finished, we're holding the trophy.
Yeah, that's dope. I think mainly for the reasons that it sounds as if it's either as fulfilling or more fulfilling. Because I know a lot of people don't have good relationships with their kids. They don't have great relationships with their fathers, or maybe they have good relationships with their kids, but they don't have good relationships with their children's mothers or children's fathers. So there's some disconnect there. So it's like some of the things and some of the decisions that were made to help hold the family together and even maybe to help hold yourself together has now resulted in wins that you otherwise would not have been able to see. And it reminds me of the gentleman who I know who you're talking about, the athlete who's focused more on his own statistics and his own score, which has to be fun. It's got to be good to go out there and bust them for 40. But in the long term, it's like, how many championships do you have? How have you been able to make other people better around you? And like, boom, it's like getting 40 is a win, but getting everybody to be better on the whole team or the whole organization is a much bigger win. Uh, so I think that's one of the missing pieces for folks is we,
And
we want.
going back to that, like saying you got as a man with the male ego, the male hormone, saying you got 15, 20 women is a win in some circles. But then when you have too many kids where you can't be in the kids' lives and you can't father all of them, now what you thought was a win becomes a loss for them. So was it really a win? If you had to break people's hearts along the way, if you've contracted STDs and passed them on to people, so you have to really reevaluate what a win is. And if you win in a way that nobody else succeeds but you, it just can't really be a win. And in the era of the crack epidemic, people learned that because it was such impoverished area that nobody had anything, that when someone finally get a chance to make money, they were happy to do it. But then the trouble they caused the community in order for them to get the win, to drive the cars, to have the clothes, to have the women, which outside of that crack coming into our communities like that, they weren't getting many of those things. So it was an immediate win, but it caused so many losses long term, all the way down to mass incarceration. So coming on the heels of that, we got to understand what a win really is. And if my team can't go with me, if my family can't go with me, if I can't pull somebody up with me, it probably really isn't a win, or it's not a win worth putting all my energy into if I can only take a few people with me.
And you need the toolkit. And I think that's what the book is about, is that, it's great to make investments, but one of the best investments you can make is the investment you make in yourself. And whether it's having a coach, having a mentor, having a community, or having the tools, the books, the information, the book is like having somebody there without physically having them there, right? So having the toolkit is so important for you to be able to maximize your moments, maximize your life, optimize your relationships, optimize your time here on earth, because it doesn't last forever. As we can see, as we just went through, this thing is like that. You're a teenager 1 minute, next minute you got kids, the next minute they're graduating, the next minute, folks are, it's like, where did the decades go? And so how do we get the most out of our decades? And I love the fact that you've been able to invest some time personally to say, how can I put some tools out here that are going to help people do life right? Anybody can do life, but how can we do it right?
Yeah, and I look up and I have 25 years on my job. I'm like only 5 years away from retirement. They tell you it goes fast. It goes fast. I have a freshman in high school now, and it seemed like it happened overnight. So you don't get a lot of time back. You gotta maximize what you can, and that's what we're talking about, winning. But that's an important thing about losing is you can't stay in the loss too long because time is moving.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out how to get up, how to move forward, because if I spend all my time on this failed relationship, then I'm never going to be healed for the next relationship or the relationships that are yet in my life while this one failed. Now, even though my marriage failed, I still got sisters, brothers, children. I got business relationships. So I can't allow all those to fail because I'm suffering over here. So you have to learn how to lose gracefully and lose and keep moving forward. Yeah. What you can't do, I guess I could say it this way, what you can't do is you can't overemphasize the moment in a loss, because hidden in the word momentum is the word moment. So if you rob yourself of the moments, then ultimately you're going to lose the momentum. And so
hit that organ, somebody.
Tuna. So what is it going to cost me to stay in this loss? It's going to cost me some momentum. So I got to figure out how to move forward. Another sports analogy: the greatest shooters, they don't think about the last shot. They think about the next shot. I got to keep going. And so ultimately, and since 2020 hit, I've had a lot of loss. There's been a lot of losses, physical losses. We lost our grandmother and our father and our uncle, my grandmother's brother, back to back to back. My mother's grandmother. It started off with my mother, not my mother's grandmother, my wife's grandmother. I preached that funeral. 6 months later, preached the funeral of my grandmother. 6 months later, it was our uncle. And then 9 months after that, our father. And that's just boom, 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 boom. And you're expected to be strong for other people. You're trying to figure out things because life keeps going on. So you got to. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You still get angry about it. Yeah. And, right behind you is, in my office is a picture over your shoulder, a picture of my dad. And so when I see it, you still get frustrated. But one thing I know about him, he'd want me to move forward. Yeah. So So I got
He used his moments.
got
He
to move.
used his moments.
Yeah, he maximizes moments. So I got to do the same thing, and teaching other people how to do the same thing is good. Shout out to you, Benny. I seen you on here, saying you want to help spread the word. Appreciate you. Much love to you, and thank you to all the people who are on. I can't see all who's on here, and just appreciate you. We're not going to stay too long today. We're just kind of getting riled back up. We're going to get back into the pop-up podcast. This is just like a intro. We're going to start up our third season. So we've had 2 seasons so far. We're going to hit season number 3 and bring in some other guests and even take some information, some things from you guys, some what do you guys want us to hear, what you want us to talk about. And then we're actually going to be building some offline things for people that they can have some more one-on-one with us and some training, and we'll allow people to pay for that to get a little deeper. So we got a lot of things going on. Anything you want to bring up, Steve?
Just add on to that, we all have an area of genius. What Andre was saying about being able to stick with a job for 25 years and be able to be close to retirement, that's an area of genius. It's an area of genius to be consistent. It's an area of genius to be able to do all that and produce a book and pastor a church and be a husband and be a father. So there are things we want in life. There are goals we want. And sometimes we just need to get around the genius we need. I have it. Andre has it. You have it. There are areas of genius that need to be cultivated. So we want to help you do that. Not only tonight with the book that's coming out. Let's put the book back up. Winning in Worship. Tell your Victorious Worship. I'm going to change the name. Victorious Worship. Winning in Life through the power of worthy, wired, and wise worship. So that's huge.
Let's bring it back up there. There it is again.
Victorious Worship. Winning in Life through the power of worthy, wired, and wise worship by Andre Mitchell. It's on Amazon. Now it's already doing well in the rankings in the top 100. So tell your friends about it.
For those who didn't see it, let's look at it again. This is the Kindle version, so we're scrolling down. It looks like the bestsellers rank were number 28 in the Christian Leadership and number 28 in Christian Counsel, number 40 in Men's Christian Living. See the top 100. So these are the top 100 for this week, and so that's promising. And once again, if you it looks like we only have 1 review. The more reviews will help it, and then we'll go to the paperback and see where we are again. Paperback number 34 in clergy, and then in Christian counseling. On that, it's doesn't crack the top 100. It's 111. So there's room to grow. And thank you. What we see on the comments is our cousin Andrew Harley will control the collection plate. So hey, we appreciate we got somebody who's going to control the money.
We want to send a special prayer out for Drew, by the way. So all our prayer warriors out there. That's my homeboy Drew. But I want to tell you this. So, like Andre said, we're going to be developing some tools online and offline. Pop-up podcast is coming back, season 3. But there's a lot we're doing and a lot we want to help you with. I want you guys to follow me on social media at Stephen Motivate. Follow me on all platforms, really active on Instagram. So I want you to follow me there, teaching a lot. We're going to be teaching about how to build wealth, how to make money maneuvers, how to have the right motivational mindset. And then again, I talked about this a lot in the past, but if you are interested in reaching your goals, and like one of my mentors says, how do I reach my goals without destroying my soul? How do I do that? I think Victorious Worship, the book, is going to help us do that. But how do we win in multiple areas? So again, it's coming up on the screen. Follow me at Stephen Motivate, and then text this number 765-234-3633, and I'm going to send you a bottle of water. No, I'm just kidding. Text this number 765-234-3633, and text goals to that number.
All right, hold on. Give me that number again.
That's 765.
Okay.
234
234.
3633. We want to help you reach your goals. What I'm building at Stephen Motivate is all about motivational mindset and making the right money maneuvers. So
Cool.
we want to help
I
you
like
with
that.
that. And yeah, and so check me out there, and also check me out on the Pop-Up Podcast with Andre Mitchell of Andre Mitchell Ministries. That's all I got, Doc. You close us out.
That's it. Hit him with the air horn. All right, much love to y'all. We're gonna get out of here. But thanks for your support. Thanks for your love. Let's grow. Let's win in life. Let's make it happen. Peace.
Peace.
Peace in the Middle East.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Much love to you. Let's get some outro music if I can find it.
Our numbers was pretty
Here
good
it is.
today. We had some